Good morning and welcome to today's webinar, Flexible Always-On Mobile Apps for Logistics and Supply Chain Management Systems. My name is Glenn Johnson. I'm a Senior Vice President here at Magic Software Americas, and I'm joined today by Mark Steinberg, Director of Technical Support for Magic Software Americas. Welcome, Mark.
Welcome.
Thank you, and we thank each of you for joining us today. Just a couple of items of housekeeping before we begin. There is a chat and a questions window in your control area in the GoToWebinar control panel, and you can enter your questions in there. We encourage you to do that at any time, and when we get to the end of today's webinar, we'll be happy to answer whatever questions we find there to the best of our ability. We will go ahead then and begin our webinar. We'll have about 15 minutes of preliminary introductory overview, and then we'll be going into the demonstration that I think a lot of you are eager to see. So we won't spend too much time on the preliminaries. I did want to mention the Magic Software Users Conference, which is coming up June 2nd to the 4th in Huntington Beach, California, known as Surf City, USA. We've got a lot more sessions and more instructors, a complete new track this year with an extra room. So we're really looking forward to a good turnout and lots of participation from all of you as well. So please send me an email with your interest in speaking. We've got a lot of sessions identified, and I think a lot of you have some expertise in these areas. We'd be happy to add you into those panels and sessions that we have planned. For today's webinar, we'll be just kind of overviewing some of the possibilities for logistics and supply chain management mobile apps, how they're a little bit different from traditional supply chain management apps, and then we'll be looking at some of the technology, the multi-channel aspects of what we're doing, the offline mode, the always-on aspect, and the single skill set involved. And then we'll just go right to a demonstration of how all of this can work for you in your organization to create superb mobile apps for supply chain management related needs and other logistics requirements as well, of course. So what are the trending use cases for enterprise mobile apps in the area of logistics and supply chain management? Logistics is, of course, a very broad term. It can include transportation, warehouse management, order fulfillment. They use a lot of CRM data. They use a lot of ERP data, product lifecycle management system data, and other systems, and of course your existing enterprise logistics and SCM systems. So the integration targets for these can be varied, but as we look at these apps, we're finding that there's a lot of focus this year on creating mobile apps for the enterprise. 1 in 5 enterprises has made creating a mobile app for supply chain management or logistic use as a top IT priority for 2014. And these apps are obviously going to have some overlap with core business functions and will require back-end integration in order to be most effective. So supply chain management, according to the UPS Global Change in the Supply Chain Survey, 2/3 of all companies plan to improve their areas, capabilities in the area of returns. So RMA management, 71% have plans to do things that are going to reduce lead times. The big focus of the supply chain systems that are in use out there. And of course, these apps have frequent requirements for barcoded inventory, dealing with things like cycle counts, shipment tracking, PO processing, receiving, putaways, and so on. Supply chain management also, of course, keeps us firmly in the present. ERP data and 2D barcoding are going to continue to form the foundation for supply chain analytics, which will be increasingly in demand on mobile devices in 2014. People want to be able to look at their mobile device and see what's going on in the supply chain. So they're looking for those dashboard-style apps that will give them the KPIs and key performance indicators. Warehouse management is another big area. Paper-based reporting for warehouse managers is being replaced by smartphone and tablet apps that provide real-time alerts, reports, drill-down capabilities. You can access information about your warehouse, what's going on inside from anywhere at any time. Even as that overall, increase in the warehouse management system market grows, use of mobile and SaaS for warehouse management is increasing as well. So we see this as a continued target area in 2014. There's also, in terms of logistics, mobile shipping apps which aid in things like cartonization, rate comparisons, third-party logistics, tracking, other logistics execution and management issues are a very important part of what's going on in the mobile app arena as well. And we can also see this in the need for things like track and trace, the proof of delivery apps for shipping companies. And these are going to use device capabilities like GPS, like barcoding, RFID, signature capture, the camera, and other interfaces. So that's why we're focusing on some of these things in the demonstration today that show you how you can create magic apps that really are custom and take advantage of these capabilities of your mobile devices. Mobile shipping apps are therefore a big part of what people are talking about in the market today. In fact, the demand for these is increasing tremendously. Sorry, going the wrong direction here, and that's why I'm getting confused. All right, here we go. Go the right direction. Transportation management system. Sorry about that. The mobile apps that are being created for TMS are doing things like routing, scheduling, confirmation notes, and these can be distilled into mobile apps for easy access to current information. But remember, we're not trying to push an entire TMS system into a mobile device necessarily, but think about the context-sensitive need that the user of that particular app has. And so you might have a suite of related mobile apps that are rather specific purpose and that you can navigate between. The TMS systems are quite interesting because as device costs are dropping, fleet drivers, owner-operators are continually having more and more access to smartphones, tablets, onboard computers, and according to a recent survey by Green Road, 2/3 of fleet managers report that all or most of their drivers make work-related use of smartphones. So this is not the future, it's the now. Lower device costs make it more affordable to deliver onboard apps than ever before, and according to Green Road, fleet managers are leading the adoption of mobile apps with 60% using non-email work-related apps on their smartphones. So as the fleet managers are doing this more and more, we see the penetration levels increasing at the driver level in this area as well. So those of you who are building apps for your company, those of you who are building apps for customers, need to understand that this is becoming predominant in this sector to be sure. So mobile apps for order tracking, of course, can support our end customers, the recipients of the goods. They can support our partners. They can support our employees. They're going to be using capabilities for things like barcode and RFID and signature capture at times, and these might be things that are identified as needs. Order tracking has its own set of integration requirements. Order fulfillment focuses on the ability to assist on-the-go warehouse and other staff with checking inventory, pulling, picking, labeling, shipping, and other kinds of order confirmation processes across that whole fulfillment cycle. So here again, there's going to be a multiplicity of integration points that you need to consider, including things like EDI messaging that might be appropriate at various points of the fulfillment process. M-commerce, or the idea of being able to purchase goods through a mobile device, either a smartphone or a tablet, is huge. It's growing somewhere from 40% from 2012 to 2013. The trend lines are forecast to continue in 2014 and beyond, and we certainly expect that as m-commerce continues, mobile apps related to this will also generate the need to integrate to e-commerce platforms where you have traditional web order processing, and you're going to start to see more special purpose apps where the app itself might have a special purpose function. It's not just an ordering function, but it has the ability to order goods or services as part of the app experience. And those are things that therefore are typically going to be a little more custom, require a little more integration. You're going to need to think carefully about how you're going to have a platform that can develop that kind of capability. Field service, another huge logistic-related issue in a lot of organizations. There are mobile apps that are needed across the field service life cycle, from service request all the way through billing, and these apps have their own unique integration requirements as well. So that's an overview of sort of what can be done in terms of how we do it in terms of the magic solutions and what's possible. One of the things that people are talking about a lot today is cross-platform mobile apps, and by that they're typically talking about being able to obviously support multiple screen sizes and keyboards and the native look and feel of a variety of different native deployment methods on mobile devices, smartphones and tablets. So that's going to incorporate, obviously, iOS from Apple, Google's Android operating systems, and there are many flavors there: ice cream sandwich, jelly bean, and so forth, as well as some of the contenders, the declining contender BlackBerry, and perhaps rising contender Windows Mobile. And so that's what we think of today when we talk about cross-platform. I know many of you on the conference think of cross-platform as being the ability to work with Windows and Unix and Linux and IBM I or AS400 operating systems. But today when people talk about cross-platform, they're usually referring to mobile devices. So the world changes and terminology is adapted to new environments. But there's something much more than just cross-platform, and that's the idea of multi-channel. And Magic, of course, is a big advocate of multi-channel because it reduces the required skill set. So when you're able to create not only native mobile apps, but also rich internet apps that work with desktop systems, browser-based applications, network client-server type applications, server-side batch applications, web service system-to-system applications, all on the same platform with the same core skill set, that's powerful to an IT organization. That's powerful to an independent software vendor who doesn't have to bring in different teams of programmers with different languages and skill sets, but can work from a central core capability to address all of these channels for delivering applications. Now, we wanted to mention that one of the important elements of mobile apps is that there are times when they don't have a connection to the server. They don't have, the mobile device is out of area, out of service, bad connection for whatever reason. And for this reason, it's important to look at ways that you can create applications in an offline mode. And with the Magic XPA application platform, offline programming is available. It allows you to create apps that do things like store user credentials on the client, and you're able to work with the synchronization issues between the client and the mobile client and the backend server and so on. In fact, Magic XPA applications that are working without network connectivity have a few special considerations that I want to highlight. First of all, in startup, when you start a Magic XPA offline program for the first time, you will need to be connected, and that's something that, when you think about it, makes sense because you've got to have some way to get the data and the app from the server to the client initially so that there's something to work with. So this first invocation syncs the resources that you, the programmer, have specified, such as client-side data, metadata, and images, and so on. And then from that point forward, you have some control over other times when you want to synchronize. It's certainly something that you can schedule, that you can do upon reestablishment of communications, and have other kinds of rules for when that happens. And also the priority of when that happens. And there's a great deal of attention that needs to be given to those business rules and approaches and what makes sense for your environment. User authentication is obviously something that typically needs to take place, and those credentials are going to need to be stored where? On the client, because if you're not in communication with the server, then those credentials need to be validated while you're offline. Local resources need to be synchronized with the client and the server. Data updates are going to be stored to the local device, and then when connected again, the matter of data consistency with the server is handled. And this is often going to use master-to-master synchronization, but not exclusively. There are certainly other schemas that you could utilize for giving priority to either client-side or server-side data. Magic XPA allows you to use things like a master-to-master pattern for bidirectional data synchronization, so you'll need to think through those business rules for resolving those data conflicts. And finally, metadata synchronization can occur automatically on startup or when the application changes as well. So the benefit to you, of course, is that you're using known skill sets in the Magic XPA application platform, so you don't have to learn lots of different programming languages, and you can provide a single, use the single integrated development environment of Magic XPA to create a variety of different solutions for your enterprise, including mobile apps, including desktop rich internet applications, web applications, and so forth. So Magic is providing the Magic XPA application platform as part of an overall end-to-end enterprise mobility solution that includes the integration platform, which is available to you, includes an available mobile device management solution, which allows you to do things like manage what happens when a device is lost, manage the update of applications on devices, and so on. And then, of course, we also offer professional services for those of you who require a little extra help in terms of either the project planning, implementation, strategy, or resources for implementation of your mobile application development requirements. With that single skill set, you're developing once and deploying to many different environments. This is kind of what that looks like in terms of how an application might appear differently, in those different environments based on the skins or the various user interfaces that are typical for those environments. So what I want to do at this point is pass the ball to Mark, who's going to actually begin our demonstration. So let me do that right now while we're speaking. Sorry about that. Having a little issue doing that. Let's try this again. Aha. Okay, Mark, you are now the presenter, and we encourage you to type your questions in as Mark goes along, and we'll get to those at the end of today's demonstration. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Glenn, and hi, everyone. So, as Glenn mentioned earlier, we will demonstrate how to enable mobile native functionality in our Magic XPA mobile application. In order to do that, I will assist the logistic business model with demonstrating of possible use cases of Magic XPA mobile application supported by the native functionalities such as camera, geolocation, barcode, and etc. For the demonstration, I will use Magic XPA development platform. The one that are not familiar with this platform, this is how it looks like. And Magic XPA iOS mobile client. In order to do that, I will display the mobile interface. In that case, it's my iPad, using external applications, so you will be able to see everything I'm doing on my iPad. And this is how it will look like. Both application types will be served by a single Magic XPA server. Now, I will start the demonstration by presenting a small and simple application I built for this demonstration. And for doing that, I will show you that on my iPad. And the application has both front-end and back-end capabilities. I will show first the iPad that actually shows the field employee application. In our case, it's a messenger that delivers packages running on my iPad. Okay. Oh, sorry. Like this. Okay. And a backend management application running on my desktop. So I will run it from here, and this will be my desktop application. Again, both of them are served by a single application. Okay. All endpoints are served with this one application, and the mobile application contains, let me go back to that, contains a login screen for the employee. Let me enter my credentials to enter the application. And the next screen will be the main screen for the employee different activities. In the main screen, the user has several options to operate the application, and I will start with the navigation functionality embedded in the application. I will now click on the first icon of the track, and I will enter to the screen that allows the employee to display packages that needs to be delivered. In the screen, the employee will have an option to select a package out of all kinds of packages that needs to be delivered and navigate to customer address. The customer address is originally entered in the customer management screen in the back end part of the application. We will get to it in a few minutes. In order to navigate, the application will use the geolocation of the mobile, represented by latitude and longitude, while latitude and longitude are actually geographical coordinates that use to pinpoint a specific location on the globe. Google Maps, for example, let's see how can I navigate. Google Maps use that data behind the scene when you try to find an address on Google Maps. Okay, so let me click here, and well, I try to navigate to the same address. Let's navigate to my home so you will know where to find me in case you got questions for that webinar. And I'm probably pressing the wrong buttons. Okay, thank you. And you can see it starts the navigation application directly to my address. Now, in order the navigation itself, as you can see, will be done by external mobile application. In our case, I'm using Waze application. Of course, there are several other options to operate the navigation on the mobile device that you can actually implement it with Magic XP Mobile Find. For example, I can use also Google Maps. Okay. In that case, the mobile application will fetch the geolocation that assigned to a specific customer from the customer details, and will call the Waze navigation with the destination arguments. Let me get back to the application. Okay, click back. Okay, and actually Magic Mobile Client is capable of extracting the current location of the mobile device, and by using a simple internal function that will come in handy if we want to calculate distance between my mobile client or the employee mobile client and the endpoint. In our case, it will be the customer. And then have like a mechanism that will decide the best employee to serve the closest customer, for example. Now let's move forward to another mobile functionality, and that's the camera. In this mobile application, we will take a picture of the package itself and attach it to the packages database. Actually, by doing that, we are simulating the situation where the package that was delivered has some sort of damage, and we want to report the damage. So I'm going to click on the camera icon, and as you can see, this is my damaged box. Glenn, we will have to return it. And I'm going to use that picture. And if I will open my backend application and we go and check the packages, this is actually accessing the real data server, and you will be able to see that the picture that was taken on the mobile was submitted to the remote data center, and I got another backend application that now is capable of showing this picture. Another use, let's see if I forgot something. Another use of the camera is actually to use it for the barcode scanner functionality. We can use it to scan packages once they will received by the customer or exit storage. There are several ways to implement this functionality. I chose, in that case, to use an open source library called ZBar. I've linked the libraries for Magic to the Magic mobile iOS client. And you can find this information in Magic documentation, and it's very detailed, has very detailed instruction on how to achieve it, well as other samples and techniques. And let me show you how it works. So let's see if I can. I will try to find a barcode that I can scan. Let's see, like this. And here I got the code from the barcode itself. Now I want to go and show you how it looks behind the scene. Now that you saw how the application looks like, let me click on the exit, and the application will close itself. And now I'm going and close also the backend application. And now let's move to the code behind. So this is actually the application that you just saw. Again, this is a combination of the mobile application and the backend application in one single project. Okay, so I will go through the code according to the order that I used before to show the examples. So we will start with the navigation functionality. This operation is actually divided into two parts. Okay, and let me show you. The first part will be the fetching of the geolocation at the back end and communicating with external navigation. So I got a customer, you can see here, and I got an address, and I got a button that actually calls Google API on the web. And let me show you how it's being done. I will go and zoom into my customer list and just for you to see that this is my user interface. This is my button that will get me the geolocation, and if I want to see what it's trying to do, I will right-click on the program that will get me that location, and you can see right here I'm using an HTTP GET function to communicate with Google Web API. This HTTP GET function lets you retrieve the returned HTML result for an HTTP request as a blob object, binary large object, and it receives the URL and multiple header lines and returns a blob data that contains the HTTP response that comes back from Google. To communicate, and you can see that to communicate with Google API just concatenating the Google API syntax along with the required details, and I'm getting back here with Google information about the geolocation of the address that I entered. Now let's move to the second part, and that's the navigation part. So if I need to go to the screen that allows me to navigate, you will see right here on the screen itself. Oh, sorry, wrong screen. That's the screen. You will see here I got an icon for my navigation, and if I will go to the logic of that icon, you can see it's very simple. It's only a single line that I'm passing to the external application along with the geolocation location of the customer that I want to navigate to. Okay. Now let's move to the camera functionality that I showed earlier. The camera functionality was activated for my main screen, and you can see that this is my main screen. You can see on the form that what you design is what you get eventually on your device, okay, or desktop window. And in order to use the camera, it's actually quite simple. I am going to use a function by the name of client file OpenDLG that can open the camera device and get back the physical location of the mobile image. Sorry, let's see the expression. It will return me the physical location of the mobile image that was returned by the camera once captured. This function is also operational on desktop application. In that case, it will open a window to select files, while if we will use it on a mobile device, on iOS or Android, it will open the camera once I will pass him this information. The file selected or the captured image is returned to Magic, and now we are capable of copying it to the server. In order to do that, I will use another function called client file to blob in order to store the mobile image directly on the data server. You can observe that I'm using functions that are part of the new set of functions dedicated for mobile and RIA clients. You can see they have a prefix of client, okay, and there will be another set of functions that will have prefix of server. Last and not least will be the barcode scanning. In that case, oh sorry, I exit the screen that has also the barcode scanning, but in that case, I used actually the Magic XPA documentation to modify the iOS client. Since the documentation provides simple step-by-step tutorial, I will not discuss on how to do that. It's something that of course, you can read and implement by yourself. After I linked the Z-bar library to my iOS Magic client, I'm now calling and using the function of client OS environment get and asking to operate a user-defined function. Again, something that you can find quite easily and implement quite easily using Magic XPA documentation. This function will activate the Z-bar libraries and will activate the barcode functionality on the mobile device itself. The client-side function enables a developer to query specific device capabilities, okay, and use it for conditional execution of logic. In our case, we are triggering the Z-bar library, okay, and activating the camera to operate as a scanner. But this function can use in many more possibilities and options. Okay. Now, once the barcode is scanned, an external Magic event is being raised, and we define here a handler that will catch this external event and will be able to return and present the barcode, and then we will be able to manipulate the information that comes from it and save it in the database if we would like to. In that case, I decided to just show what it's got back from the scanning. And I guess that's all for today's demonstration. I will finish my review, and I will be happy to answer questions, which you can enter in your webinar window, and Glenn probably will direct it to me.
All right, thank you very much, Mark. We'll give plenty of time here for people to type in any questions that they might have. Looks like we have about 30 people on, so we'll give you just a moment to enter those in, and we'll take those questions one at a time.
Okay.
Let's see. Might as well leave your desktop up there, Mark. And
yep.
We'll
let me open the applications.
Okay, here's the first question from Pierre. Can you please elaborate about the external event a little bit?
Okay. I will go back to the code. Let me minimize. Inside, and again, it's something that already mentioned in the documentation. I will try to be as basic as I can, so to allow other people to ask questions about something that not appear in the documentation. The idea is that once you will go over the documentation, one of the things that you will need to modify is 2 lines inside of the in that case, the iOS mobile client. One of the lines will actually be a definition of the user-defined function by the name of barcode, and the other one will be for the Z-bar to acknowledge that Z-bar has returned to the mobile client, and then the mobile client will raise an event. Okay, he will raise an external event, and he will throw in that event a global parameter that's why I usually set as blob. Okay, but since I'm already familiar with the barcode, I know that it will return me a string, so I changed it to a Unicode with a 5,000 picture length of 5,000. So when the barcode is being scanned, once it's finished scanning or analyzing the image and has a specific information for you, it will raise an event that will be catched by the mobile client, Magic Mobile Client, and Magic Mobile Client will be responsible to raise the external event. We need to actually handle the event, catch the information being retrieved from the barcode scanning, and then decide what we want to do with that information. I hope that answers the question.
And Mark, can you tell us how or where you found the ZBAR library?
Yes, of course. Let me open, I think. It's SourceForge or something like that. Here we go. You can see here there's a site. It's an open source, available for everybody. You can see here the disclaimer for this open source, and you can also download the barcode scanning for Windows, for iPhone, and so on. I think, if I recall correctly, there is also an open source for Android.
Yeah, it looked like from the Google searches that were taking place that there might be, but who knows? Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. All right. Waiting for more questions to be entered in here. Mark, we didn't really talk too much about offline apps versus online apps in the demonstration. What's the best place in the Magic documentation to get more information about how to go about the offline programming?
I think that's a good question, and I think it was answered in the previous webinar by Andy.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a documentation PDF file inside the installation, or it's a concept paper, and of course also a technical paper on how to operate mobile offline programs / applications.
Okay.
Okay.
Pierre is asking another question: is how would you save images in offline mode?
Okay. In that case, again, it's something that we did not mention, but for the offline, you can define also an offline database, a small database that will be populated on the mobile client itself. So if you want to save images, you can either do that by saving the location of the image on the device itself. The other way is actually saving the image itself inside the local database on the mobile client. I hope that answers the question.
Sure. And does the SQLite support blob images?
First of all, the local database is a sub-instance of SQLite, and to answer the direct answer to the question is yes.
Okay. Now Isaac is asking for the specifics of the various devices and their operating systems. Are those generalized or exposed to any extent within XPA, or they need to be studied for each device?
The beauty of one of the beautiful things about XPA and mobile is mobility functionality is the fact that the same application I can take without, since I designed it in a way that it will be flexible, at least some of the screens, I can take it and run it as it is on a different operating system without changing anything in the application. So I think that, of course, iOS and Android has several functionalities that exist in one operating system and does not exist on the other. And to do that, I demonstrated in in my demonstration the use of the function that's called client OS env-get. And if I will click on the F1, one of the functionalities that it can return the device operating system. So you can actually query inside the application which device is running the application, and according to that decide on a specific logic you want to implement for this device or operating system. I hope that answers the question.
So it sounds like your answer is that it's kind of a hybrid. There are some aspects in which you automatically skins for different applications, but then you can also create, if you want, a tailored approach for a specific device or operating system.
Exactly.
Okay, very good. Let's pause for a moment to see if there are any other questions. All right. Oh, okay. Omar is asking a bit about the offline data synchronization. And I know we discussed that more in yesterday's webinar. So I will point out that if you go to the Magic website, I don't know if it's available today, but it should be available within the next 2 to 3 days. You will, if you navigate to news and events and then choose webinars and then choose archive webinars, those actually will have the recording from yesterday's webinar, which had a very similar title, which confused some people, I'm afraid, to today's title. So yesterday's was also flexible, always on mobile apps. That's our current campaign at Magic, but it was for your existing Magic application. And in that particular webinar, based on the description of the webinar, we really went into offline mode in depth and demonstrated that. So you might want to look at that. Anything you want to say specifically about various approaches, Mark? I know that we have a white paper coming out on different ways of doing offline synchronization, but anything else you want to say on that, Mark?
Well, all the synchronization issue is actually quite dynamic because it has different needs on different situations, on different business models, and different needs. And that's a well-known issue in the mobility world on what will be the best way to synchronize my clients with my server. There are a lot of paradigms on how to solve it. The famous one is the problem of the partisan generals. The Byzantine generals, and you can find it in Google. Anyhow, there are many approaches. I think the basic one, and again, this is something that you can take. There is a lot of implementation on how to solve synchronization issues, but I think the leading one and the basic one is always save both on the client and on the server the update times, and then you will have like a business rule to decide which will be the one that will change the data according to its last updated data. So I think that can serve you like as a very basic business rule for synchronization purposes. Now there is also types of, you can push data once the client is attached to the network. You can push physical databases to the client, so it will get some kind of like a synchronous package of information and stuff like that. You can decide on a route of synchronization. I know that there is a lot of issues about what happens when I'm upgrading my Magic mobile XP application and I also need to sync, or what happens to the clients that are not synced. There are plenty of solutions on how to solve it. There are some basic ones, there are some tricky ones, but there is always a solution. Again, it's something that it's very depend on a specific need that we need to accomplish.
Great. Jack Black is asking, can you briefly explain the management component? Thanks for asking about that, Jack. The Magic has aligned itself with one of the mobile device management software company solutions that's available in the market. One of the things that was happening is that as people were developing apps, that they were secure, they were fine, but the devices themselves had a lot of management issues around them. And so there was a need for, in enterprises that are using Magic, that are not using Magic, all kinds of companies to manage those mobile devices, you know, as companies had BYOD policies or even just with their own company-supplied devices. There are a need for a lot of different functions. So Mark, I don't know if you want to briefly describe what some of those functions are. We're probably going to do an entire webinar on that at some point in the future, but any brief description you'd like to provide, Mark?
Well, I can say, first of all, our management system is supposed to push to specific clients a specific code change for the application. So it's not something, and of course there are a lot of security inside of the this mechanism. For example, if we got a situation in which we had an employee with a mobile device that this application was pushed to him, there are several implementation on how to secure this application in case this employee is no longer part of our organization. For example, to allow the application to work only in internal network. The management application is not supposed to delete the application from unsupported devices. You can set it up as long as the device, of course, inside the organization. But this is one scenario that can be taken care of using the management system along with some environmental security. There is a lot of ways how to work and operate security issues, and our management system has a lot of security offering, and of course, as Glenn mentioned, there will be a webinar just for that. So I think you will get a lot of answers on that webinar.
Right. You know, in general, you're able to set up policies and then administer those policies for your mobile devices in your organization.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't see any other questions at this point, Mark. So I want to thank you again for your demonstration. Thanks to everybody for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you all again very soon on another Magic Software webinar. Have a great day.
Thank you.